guys, my name is Molly, and today I am here to bring you my February book haul because I got a good amount of books in the month of February. So I did a lot in the month of February. I went to 3 signings, and of course when you go to signings you get a lot of books. I had to redo my bookshelf so I could fit them all in, so that says something. And I'm running out of room on my bookshelf, so that's an issue we bookworms have to deal with. I'm not ready to deal with that issue yet. Let's get into all the books I bought this month. So the first 2 books I picked up this month were Cinder and Cress by Marissa Meyer. Now you must be like, wait a second, Molly, haven't you read that whole series? Why, yes, I have. But if you don't notice, these 2 books are in hardcover. Look at that! Look at that. They're in hardcover. Because I owned the whole series, the whole Lunar Chronicles series, but I owned it Fairest in hardcover, Cinder in paperback, Scarlet in hardcover, Cress in paperback, and then Winter in hardcover. So, it did make a pattern, but they all didn't match. If you're a bookworm, you know how that drives me crazy. So, when I was at the Marissa Meyer signing, I know I've already met her, but I met her again, I ended up buying both of these because I said, you know what? They have them here. I'm going to end up buying them eventually anyway, so I might as well buy them now while I can get them signed by her. So that's what I did. They're signed. Cinder is personalized, where Cress is just signed because she was only personalizing one. So of course I chose Cinder because Cinder is like, I went to the Marissa Meyer signing at the Neshaminy, I believe that's how you say it, mall in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. They had a fantasy fan week, so they had 3 giant young adult author events, and so I went to all 3 of them, so that's why I got so many books this month. But I bought these 2 while I was there. So the next book I bought was Stars Above by Marissa Meyer. Now this was the book that she was there for. This was released this month. It was on my top most anticipated books of the year, so I'll leave that down below. But this is basically just a collection of novellas about the Lunar Chronicles world. There are some about Cinder, Aiko. There is an epilogue to Winter, and since I finished Winter last month, I couldn't deal. I needed to read it. I haven't read it, but I started it, and it was really cute. I did get it signed. I met a bunch of great people there. It was really fun, and The next book I got was my most anticipated book of the year, and that is Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. Alright, so the Marissa Meyer event was on Monday, and so I went after school and fun, and then on Saturday, ready for this? I went to Barnes & Noble with my friend. We picked her up, and I was there from around, I don't know, it was like 9 o'clock, probably 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock at night. So it was quite a long day because we didn't leave the mall. Like, it wasn't like we went and got the wristbands and then left for a little while. No, we stayed. And it was intense. But there were 2 events that day, and they were both really popular authors, so you had to be there. For the first event, for the Victoria Aveyard event, I was in the second row, and for the Sarah J. Maas and Susan Dennard, I was in the first row. So it was worth it. It was fun and exciting and just, yes. Anyway, so I'm getting ahead of myself, but the Victoria Aveyard signing was first, and she was there, of course, to promote Glass Sword because that came out last month, and I read it, and it was great, and highly recommend picking up Red Queen. This is, like I said, the sequel to Red Queen. I can't tell you anything without spoiling it, but basically this world is divided by blood, and there are, silvers with special powers and reds who are, their servants, and there's this girl who is a freak accident, but it turns out she's not, and it's really cool, really good. I really enjoy this series. I'm looking forward to seeing where it's going. It's not even a trilogy anymore. She announced she's making it 4 books because the story was just so long for her to tell. I'm super excited for that, but like I said, I did read this book, and of course I got it signed because, So the next author event, well, it wasn't the next author event, it was the same event that Victoria Aveyard was at. I went to the Sophie Jordan signing, and she wrote Reign of Shadows, which came out last month. Now, I had never heard of Reign of Shadows before. I knew that she was going on tour with Victoria Aveyard, but when I read the synopsis, it sounded quite interesting. It's about this girl, and she lives in this world where there has been a 17-year-long eclipse. And that is really interesting right away, how has the world evolved, how has it changed? It's changed quite a lot, so let's just say that there are dark dwellers, and there are, human-sized bats, and it's just so interesting. There's people living in the trees, and it's really cool, and I highly recommend picking this up. I was not expecting as much as I got from this novel. It was so good, and I need the next book right now. Like, the ending just crushed my soul, and oh my god, I was crying. I'm not ashamed to admit I cried in this book. So then, of course, being the bookworm that I am, I could not just buy one book to have Sophie sign, so you know me. So I went up and I bought Firelight, the first book in her paranormal romance series, which has elements that, they're not dragons, but they're dragon elements to humans. It's really cool. They're called Drakkies. Highly recommend. I read this this month, actually, so this will be coming in my wrap-up, so I'm not going to tell you much about it, just that I really enjoyed it. Definitely recommend to pick this one up. So I'm standing in line, bought that with my friend, and then my friend goes up to buy these other books, and I'm like, I'm going to end up buying the rest of the series, because Firelight is a trilogy, and I'm like, I'm going to end up buying the rest of it today. And she's like, yeah, but I think you'll hold out for a little while. So I was holding out, I went back to our seats, and then I was thinking about it, and I was like, she's up there now, let's just go up. So I went up and I bought the rest of the trilogy. I mean, it wasn't bad because they only had paperback, so, they were only $10 each. So then, like I said, the second event took place at 6. And it was Sarah J. Maas and Susan Dennard. It was a big event, and it was a Galentine's Day party, and I had so much fun. It was so much fun. They're so funny together, Susan Dennard and Sarah J. Maas. Like, I didn't know how close they really are, but they are so much fun, and it was just a fun panel. It was just fun talking. I, of course, fangirled with Sarah J. Maas about the 100 and Bellamy, and then ranted about how they gave Bellamy a new girlfriend. And I did the same thing with Sophie Jordan about Teen Wolf, and that was very exciting. But anyway, back to this event. So I had already purchased Truthwitch. As some of you may know, I went to the launch party for Truthwitch and Passenger. So I met her, and I already had it signed. But I had all of my Sarah J. Maas books signed except for one book. So when I found out she was going to be there, and I was going to be there, I'm like, Mom, we're staying, I don't care. So of course we had to stay. I got Air of Fire signed, which was great. All my other books were signed by her. And, like, I of course got all the other books that I have by all of these authors signed, like Victoria Aveyard, I got Red Queen and Cruel Crown signed. But yeah, so I already had Truthwitch signed, so I was like, well, what can I get? So I ended up buying her trilogy, her Something Strange and Deadly trilogy, which consists of Something Strange and Deadly, A Darkness Strange and Lovely, and Strange and Ever After. Now, these, from what I've read about them, remind me of somewhat of The Infernal Devices by Cassandra Clare. They're about the 1800s, or the 18th century or something like that, and these women that live there, the Walking Dead are a thing. They're, like, in this world, so, like, kind of like Pride and Prejudice and zombies. So they're women, but they're trained to be fighters, but they live in the 18th century, so they have to wear their nice ball gowns and, you know, hide the fact that they know how to fight. From what I've gathered, I don't know if that's completely correct, don't take my word on it, but I'm super excited to get to this trilogy. If you know anything about me, it sounds exactly like something I would love. And of course, I got them all signed because, you know what, why wouldn't I get them signed? They're beautiful, and I love it. And I'm so happy that I had something else for her to sign, and that I have these books now because I really want to read them. The next book, don't worry, we're getting down to the end, is Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. I have been hearing nonstop amazing things about this novel. It takes place in World War II, at the very end of World War II, actually, and we follow 4 teenagers who I believe were on a boat that sank, but it was like one of the worst tragedies in history, but no one ever talks about it. I had never heard of it. I only know of it because Christine from Poland Bananas Books did an interview with the author that I watched. But I've heard so many amazing things. If you know anything about me, you know I'm not really too into historical fiction. It's just not my area. It's just not my thing. I like my fantasy worlds. I like my cutesy contemporaries. I just tend to stick to that. But this sounds super interesting. I do like World War II historical fiction novels. Like, that I love. Anything else I'm kind of bored with. I don't like reading about history. It's too real for me. Like, I like mine books not to be real. But this did sound so interesting that I had to pick it up. She is also the author of Between Shades of Grey, which I haven't picked up, but I really, really want to. And so, like I said, non-stop amazing things about this book, so I can't wait to read it. So that's it for this video, guys. Let me know some of the books you got this month, and if you've read any of these and enjoyed them. Let me know if you were at the signings, or if you're planning to go to any signings, or if you're planning to go to any signings anytime soon. That's it for this video, guys. I try to upload a video every week. If you like my videos, then subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!